This Man Kotzer and the Malacha Meruba. And it's a special week. We're leading into the week of Yud Shvat. Hebeshes will help that everyone should have Atzlocha. Avodas Hashem this week. If you're going to the oil, that's all the Hebeshes, all Mishalos Levavchem of everyone here and of all Klal Yisrael. And the main Mishala for sure every Yid has is not only the personal Geula for all our tzoras, but the Geula for Klal Yisrael. So the first question, someone asked me, she's a teacher in a Hebrew school. They're preparing a Shabbaton. There's boys and girls, the classes are mixed. Does it make sense, is it permissible, that she's going to make it, she's organizing a Shabbaton, the parents are coming, Friday night a meal, that the kids are going to sing for the parents. So there's boys and girls singing. Is it appropriate? Is it permissible? Is there an age limit? What's the din? This is a pretty common question. So I'd like to go into this to this sugya, and then we'll go. It has to do with this week's Parsha because it's this week's Parsha is Vatikach Miriam and Aviyah Vatitzana Kol Anoshim Acharei Betupim B'Machaylos Vatan Miriam Shiru L'Hashem. So the women were singing. Some people like to go straight to the Bible. Yeah, they pass straight from the Bible. It's the Voida was singing. Hey, like a copy. Yeah, sure. Here, they like to pass him from the Bible. Voida was singing, and Miriam is singing. So why can't the women today sing? I was in Sheilos, and they have over there. So I met a man. He says this is really. They have once a year. The women come on Chamisha Osav B'Av and they dance there. He said it's crazy. He said they missed the point. It's a women's only event. It has to be men and women. What? So let's look into this suit. And Taka, what happened with Miriam? Did Miriam sing? And what was it? Men and women were mixed. Were they singing? Were they not singing? What was happening here? So let's look at the answer here. Parsha b'Shulchan Aruch. Also l'shmoya kol erva. Shulchan Aruch says it's also to hear the voice of an erva. The Beis Shmuel says that if it was a woman that's an erva, it's also. But if she's a pnuya, an unmarried woman, it's mutter. But the Bayit Hativ brings from the Be'er Sheva, it's also. Ladina, most opinions seem to hold that it's mutter. And that's the way it seems from the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. Next paragraph. Oira Chaim Siman Einay Sibov. Koil Zemer Isho. Here's right here. It's here. It's a movie track. Koil Zemer Shel Isha. Ben Pnuya. Ben Eshes Ish. Afilu Shel Ishta. He Erva. Also Likas Knishma. And you hear the singing of a woman, if she's married or unmarried, the Pnuya Eshes Ish, it's an Erva. You're not allowed to reach Knishma now.
Afilu Ishta?
Even if it's Ishtoi. If it's B'Shas Knishma, it's also. You made a good point. But the speak, is only singing, not speaking. You're allowed to hear her speak, but you're not allowed to hear her sing. But if he could daven and ignore the singing, then it's mutter. If he, okay, that's a din. So we see from the Alter Rebbe, it's almost mefurish in the Alter Rebbe lakula that you're allowed to hear the singing of a woman who's a pnuya. Why? Because the Alter Rebbe says that there's a special din b'shas krishma that bein pnuya, bein eshes ish is also mashma for what shaloi b'shas krishma. There would be a difference. A eshes ish would be also, and the singing of a pnuya would be mutter. It's kamat mefurish in the Alter Rebbe lakula. Look in the next paragraph. Shulchan Aruch Erechaim Siman Ayin Heisiv Gimel. Shulchan Aruch says, "Yesh lizor mishmias koil isha b'shas krishma." You should be careful not to hear the singing of a woman b'shas krishma. Because of Mishnah Berurah, the Mishnah Berurah writes like this: I feel a pnuya. It doesn't matter if she's married or pnuya. So it goes on. If it's not in the time of Kirishma, surely it's mutter. Here I underlined it because this we're going to deal a lot with these words in the Mishnah Berurah. You're not allowed to have the kavana to have hanoah from the singing, because you might come to a hirur of aveda, to the thought of a woman in your mind.
So this hanoah is more for
not allowed.
pnuya.
H's you're not allowed to. I don't care if you want to have hanoah, not hanoah. I don't care if she has a good voice or a bad voice. But if she's a pnuya, you're allowed to hear her singing. But if you're machaben to have hanoah, it's also because you might come with the hirur. That's what the Mishnah Berurah says.
What hanoah is there in hanging over the voice?
Huh?
What hanoah is there?
I don't know, but in every music there is an unbelievable industry. There's an unbelievable hanoah in hearing music.
The music, but not the woman's voice.
Sure.
There's chazonim. There's chazonim. People pay a lot of money to hear them sing.
What? You're saying that there's something. I don't know how you say this in English.
Yes, it's proven.
That there's a taiva dikazaz?
No, that's not what the Mishnah Berurah is saying.
No, that's not.
He's saying it.
Listening to a woman's voice, you
He's saying it. Maybe it'll bring.
Saying
They
how?
say his kavana. Why? Because
that's a fact. I'm saying it's a fact that a man gets aroused when he hears a woman sing.
No, I don't know if hirur means aroused. I think hirur means that he's going to be mahared in the image of the woman. It doesn't mean he's mahared b'dvar aveda necessarily. It says nishmarta mekol dovara shelo yistaklu vayom shem yovel lidei keri balayla. It doesn't shelo yahared vayom. It doesn't mean that he's being mahared in the dvar aveda. He's not allowed to be mahared in the image of a woman. B'chlal.
So
that the Mishnah
have it
Berurah
on the
said-
radio, because a lot of times you go to a mall and you hear women, you have women singing on the radio.
Oh,
on
so-
the speakers.
Right. So the Mishnah Berurah, I didn't quote the whole thing. He said.
I don't know the Makaris, the ones that asked and said it was not a problem. But I wonder what the Makaris
Not fair.
The Mishnah Berurah says that that a nochris, we'll say soon, is asur, but he says bezman hazeh.
There were no tapes then.
Right. So with no tape, so it's more chumradik. He says that there's nothing to do. You're going in the city, and there's the shiksas that are singing. You can't do. A person shouldn't be in his battle from learning Torah because of that.
Or
He
anything,
should
when
try.
he's shopping.
Right. That halacha from the Mishnah Berurah, in other words, Mishnah Berurah doesn't say don't go to the marketplace because women are singing. It says try your best to learn Torah and to not listen to it. Versteht sich bezman hazeh in a mall when the music is not live, it's a recorder, so it's more kuladik because it's not live. Same thing, pictures of the staklus. It's not the etzem inyan, but it's very
Close to it.
It's very close to it. So let's continue the Mishnah Berurah right after the underlined words. The zeme Eishes ish, and the singing of an Eishes ish, if she's a married woman, any erva, it's also to listen to her singing. I don't care if you have a no, not a no. I don't care if she has a nice voice or a terrible voice. If she's a woman that's a pnuya, but she's a nida, so she's a erva. Here's the important line which kills the whole kula. The Alter of Paskins, the Mishnah Berurah Paskins, you're allowed to hear the singing of a pnuya, of a non-married woman. How many married women are there? Today they're all pnuyas now. But the problem is, Psulas didan kulam becheskes nidois, mishagil hem zman veses, v'kol zema pnuya nochri sigam kein erva. That a woman, from when she starts having a veses, she is a nida. A nida is an erva. Unless she went to the mikveh. Which unmarried woman went to the mikveh? She didn't go to the mikveh. She doesn't go to the mikveh.
They do?
Chas v'sholem. It's also. I had once a shaila in the Bronx. It was an elderly woman, and she never married, and it didn't seem like she's going to get married. She's not married. And she felt a spiritual thing. She wanted to go to the mikveh. It's a nice thing. Why not? You go to the mikveh. The Beis Yosef of Paskins in Yehuda that the minig Yisrael is we don't let unmarried women go to the mikveh.
Even at Yom Kippur?
Even at Yom Kippur.
Even to that Rizal's mikvah.
Even to that Rizal's mikvah, yeah. And even though the reason, we understand the reason. We understand the reason. The reason is what you said before, is the reason. But doesn't matter. The reason that the minig is because they didn't, Pnuya is going to say, she's going to go to the mikveh, and she's not going to put a sign on the door saying she's a Kadesha, she's not going to be over alav, so therefore the minig is that we don't let them go to the mikveh. But the din is the din. The din is the din. I said, no, you can't. It's also to go to the mikveh. I couldn't tell her the reason. But I said, no, it's only for married women. But that's because that's the minig. The bottom line is that Hakmish in China, they go to mikveh shmikveh. They don't know the din and when there was a Hakmish in China.
It's a thing today.
Wow. But the din is...
In LA, they go in the ocean.
The poskim say that according to the minig, not to let them go to the mikveh, even if you think that you're going to be matzel them from a bigger chait. Because that's minig Yisrael mekadmas deno, that the besulas, women that are not married, don't go to the mikveh. Bottom line is, yen and mikveh, those people, they don't even know how to count and when to go and what to go and where to go. And what?
That I think such a story that sort of Rabbi said, I can't help you, I'm not to the Rebbe.
Right, exactly. They went to the mikveh, then I can't help you.
He says because he only helped out that it's a lev.
Yeah.
You couldn't hold yourself in, you just barely thought and you waited for 7 days and you counted
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah, exactly.
That I can't help you.
Exactly. So let's continue on the level. So, and then, before we continue, just summarize. If it's a Eishes Ish, the Kol Zimra is Asur. If it's a Pnuya, it's Mutter. But what does a Pnuya mean? A Pnuya means a woman that never saw Dam in her life, and she's not a Nochris, because a Nochris is also an Erve. You're not allowed to marry a Nochris. It's Asur. Hanoim Poigim Boy, even if it's a Mela.
Can you define the
A Nochris is a non-Jewish woman. Nochris is a non.
So Rabbi, most of the time when you hear these singers, most of them have had their period already.
Then Nishti Junge Melech. Now, we're going to go into...
There's no 12-year-old that's singing on the...
No.
At the King's Plaza Mall.
Right.
So is it still mutter with a recording of a nida?
Because it's a recording, it's not like it's live. But versteht sich, a Yiddish Shemaim shouldn't listen to it. But if there's no choice, the Mishnah Berurah says he should try to focus on learning Torah.
No, but that's when he's learning Torah. But what this is talking about, where you're in the shuk.
Right.
The person has to go to the shuk.
Right.
Even when you go down Fifth Avenue, the stores are playing women singing.
Right.
And they play it into the sidewalk to get people to come into their store.
Yes. Right.
Or you go to Macy's to get a scarf.
Tell you what it does?
Go to Macy's to get a coat and go. There's no brera. There's no brera.
What it sells.
I don't go. It doesn't sell to me. I think it stinks, and you could go through the whole. Everyone's giving different spritzim, and it stinks. And the music is ridiculous, but you have to walk through it. But online you can't see what you're buying.
Right.
Even my daughter. Flowers. You gotta shop for the flowers.
But it's not. It doesn't hold any attraction to me. Maybe because I'm a grandfather.
Yeah, but it was initially the Gefelas and
Women
music.
singing and
You already crushed your time.
no, I didn't. But no. Could you imagine you go through these? You go through.
all you do is you go to Flower, you buy a scarf.
They have no. There's no busha. There's no.
Flam says
No,
scarves today, like the style scarves, any style.
If you can
They
find
say-
it, if you can find it.
They saved
Who's
it
that?
from your
Who's
grandfather's
Flam?
times, and it's coming back to style. So.
Oh yeah.
Overnight store in the world. You can find a scarf, you can buy a scarf.
You have to thank Hashem, Rabbi, for the iPods, because today every kushik, kimat, without exception, has these things in their ears. Either iPods, or they have the
Instead of like they used to walk around.
Exactly. Remember the boom boxes they used to go around? Today you don't hear it. It doesn't exist. It's all in the. They're all listening. The only thing you don't hear their music. It's a kabbalah. Maybe you used to walk around with boom boxes. You're too young.
Now, one Friday night that everyone's going home, Friday night, because I was getting from the guy who was calling the Rebbe in the summer, and a group of Schwarz was coming down Brooklyn Avenue towards East Park with a boombox, and the Rebbe's walking, towards President Street, With them all, the head guy says, stop, the rabbi is going by, they shut the boombox, they sit on the side, and they all greet the Rebbe, and then once the Rebbe passed, they put on the boombox again.
So, let's continue in the Rambam. Next period. Next paragraph. Kosovo Rambam, also Lodom, Likritz Biyodo, Uberaglo, Lirmas Be'enav La'achas Min Aroyas. A person is not allowed to do these things when it comes to Aroyas. Or Lischikim Alakal Roish, Afil Allah Horiach, Besamim She'Allah, or Lahavit Beyafya. Also, try to pay attention as much as you could to the words of the Rambam. A person who has a kavanah for one of these things with a erva, so the bezdin, it's not also in a Torah, it's also in the Rabbanah, so therefore he gets makas mardus. A person that even looks at an etzba ktan of a woman, and he had a kavanah to have a noah, if it's like being nistakel in a private place. The Rogachev explains like this. The Rogachev explains that b'mokem ha'toidif, it's also even doesn't matter if you want to have hanoah or not hanoah. B'mokem ha'toidif is also period.
Forever.
B'mokem ha'golui, not b'mokem ha'toidif. Over there it depends if your kavanah is to have hanoah or not to have hanoah. Why b'mokem ha'toidif is also even if you don't want to have hanoah? So he says it's a bizarai da'aroyas. It's a be'etzem also. It's be'etzem also, and he explains. The Gemara says, Omerei Shlokish, Godel, the Mare, Yoisem, Toiv Mare Einym, Be'isha Yoisem, Megufa Shel Ma'isa. The Gemara says, Reish Lakish says, that when a person, the pleasure from what he sees in a woman is more than the actual Ma'isa. It's more than the actual Ma'isa, is what he sees with his eyes. So Toisus Yeshonim says, what is he trying to bring here? Hilkich Tzorich Lizar, Me'oid Mimenu. Takas, if you look in the Tur, the Bach 3 times in the whole Dalit Hilkish Ochamoruch, the Tur says the word Ma'oid Ma'oid, which is today in the Tanya. Kekor Velech Adava Ma'oid. 3 times. The Bach points it out in all the 3 times. Once says in Yodadei Lagabi Ribis, he says Ma'oid Ma'oid Yezoyer. Once Lagabi Shoichet, he says Ma'oid Ma'oid Yezoyer. And also he quotes the Rambam and he adds 4 words before. He says, Tzorich Adam Li Serachik Min Anoshim Ma'oid Ma'oid. So the Bach points out, why is Ma'oid Ma'oid? Because these 3 things are something which the Yetzer Hara is very, very strong. Shoichet Ribis, and to look at women is a very big Yetzer Hara, and therefore...
Right.
Don't worry, when you'll get there you'll know why. So Ma'oid Ma'oid, you should be Nizah from it. So therefore the Rogachev says that that's the Pshat. The Pshat is, the Mokem HaToidev, I don't care if miskaven or not miskaven. He says it's not mishum atakola, it's a bizeraya da'aroyas. But the b'mokem ha'goli of a isha, it depends if you want to have hanoah or not. V'zemer eishas ish, v'chein kol ha'aroyas, lo'olam asa l'shmaya, and the zemer of a eishas ish or a erva is also to hear. V'chein pnuya she'in nida, machlal erva, if she's a nida, is also, u'besulas didan. I'm sorry, I'm reading in the wrong place. Go back to the Rambam. Mistakel afilu be'etz b'chtana shalisha neskavel lohanas commission mistakel magatoyre. V'afilu l'shmoya kol ha'erva lead aside also, even to hear the kol ha'erva is also. V'advorim eila asura mechayav elavim, it's also be'ochayav elavim, which is also to marry them. Muter listakel l'pnei pnuya l'vodka, you're allowed to look at the face of a pnuya to check bein b'sula bein bu l'kadei she'ira imi noah be'eni b'sena, if she's pretty in his eyes he'll marry her. V'ein b'zet tzad yisur v'lo yoyed el sheroi lasas kein av'lo yistakel derech znus. You shouldn't look in the way of znus. I want to tell you the way I read the Rambam, and we can argue later. The way I read the Rambam is like this: that the Rambam is mixing things up. He says because like this. In the beginning, he says it's also lahabit be'iyofya. Habit is afila bota ba'alma, small look. Because it's she's. Then he says a mistakel afila be'etzbek tana shel isha neskavel lahonas means any isha, not a eishes ish, even a pnuya. Even a pnuya, that's why the Rambam first says a makin and neskavel ladovas amakas mardus. Because if she's an eishes ish and a person looks, even b'habota b'alma, he gets makas. But if it's a isha b'alma, stama isha, not a eishes ish, so then we said it depends if neskavel lahonas or boy neskavel lahonas. And it depends if it's Mokem HaToyref or not Mokem HaToyref. That's where if, then the Rambam says, Afilu L'Shmoya Koila Erva. Why does he have to say Koila Erva again? We're talking about an Erva. Because he diverted, he said Agav Urcha, about an Eishes Ish, and then he went to a regular woman. So he goes back, if any Koil Erva is also. And then the Rambam says that the Pnuya is a Yoitzim Raklal. The Rabbanan said it's also Listakel. So they said, in order to make a good Shidduch, that we want that the Chosin should go look at the Kala. And that the Gemara says, "Oh, my Rav also Lodin Shikal the Isha at Yidva Kena that after Laracha Kamoicha, because a person is going to marry a woman because the parents made the shidduch, and he's going to marry her, and he decided she's not pretty, and that's a Heipach v'Hafta Laracha Kamoicha. Therefore, we say that the Davke the Chosin should meet the Kala as many times as it takes until it's Noah Be'enav, she's pretty. And he decides, yes, he likes her, she's pretty, and then he'll get married to her. So the way I learned this is that it's a pnuya is also to look at a pnuya. It's also to look at a pnuya. Elamai, if it's in l'tzoydech to get married, then it's mutter. I'm telling you all this barichas because there's a Moedik Tshuva about listening to girls singing that Rabbi Cheskel Gruber was the senior of in Detroit. I knew him very, very well. I was very, very close to him. He even wrote me sort of a ksav smicha. He didn't know my age. So he was a Talmud in Yeshivas Chacham Lublin. Yeah, I was very close to him when I was at Talmud in Detroit. I was close to Rabbi Gruber and Rabbi Baksh. Rabbi Baksh was the Rosh Yeshiva in the Lithuania. Oak Park.
Today his son is.
Both people were like true friends of Lubavitch. So he wrote a letter to the Moshe Feinstein asking him that in the schools in Detroit, so the parents are called like graduation, and the girls are singing in front of the parents. Is it mutter? It's a koil zema be'isha. So we'll get to the Moshe's psak in a minute, but the Moshe has a totally different take on this whole Rambam. The Moshe holds like this: that if it's a Eishes Ish, that's when it's also to look, or to, by the way, looking and listening is the same din. It's just that looking is more also. The Rambam says that the din is Haistaklus, and the Rambam says Va'afilu Lishmoya, which is Shmiya is less. Why? Because we understand that Chassidus that the Iya is stronger than Shmiya. The effect that it has a person from seeing is stronger than. But the Moshe says that the way he learns the Rambam is not like the Mishnah Berurah. He says that the way he learns the Rambam is if she's an Eishes Ish, then it's also if you have a Noah. And if there's a Pnuya, I don't care, you can even have Miskavan to have a Noah. Therefore he holds against the Mishnah Berurah.
An Eshet issue of double Avera, right?
But 1 second. But that's not the way, I wouldn't learn the Rambam. I think the Rambam, the way the Mishnah Berurah learns it, is that he learned that Eishes Ish is also period. The I or Shmiya. And by a Pnuya, it's the I or Shmiya, it depends if you're in the Skavan to have a Noah or not in the Skavan to have a Noah. And that's the way the Mishnah Berurah, that's that raya for the din. Where did the Mishnah Berurah get his din? That a Pnuya, you're allowed to hear her singing, but it depends if you're Miskavan Lahonis or not Miskavan Lahonis. How did the Mishnah Berurah know this din? He doesn't bring a raya to this din. This Rambam is a raya for Rashis. Because the Rambam says is that the I and Shmiya, that's also. And if you look at the words of the Rambam closely, you see that the Rambam holds that if she's an Eishes Ish, the I and Shmiya is also, I don't care if you want to have a no or not have a no, it's also the I and Shmiya, even Habota Ba'alma. If she's an unmarried woman, she's a Pnuya, so then the I and Shmiya depends. If you want to have a Noah, it's Asur, and if you don't want to have a Noah, then it's Mutter. And that was the riot of the Mishnah Berurah. That's what the Mishnah Berurah says, that if she's a Pnuya, you're allowed to hear her sing, but if you're Skavan Lahonis, it's also to hear her sing. There's a story from the Baal Mari Cheskel, his son, which his Zayda. So there's a Moedik Maisa. His Zayda, Rabbi Rotner's Zayda. You'll hear about the Yichus of Rabbi Rotner, a story. Then next time you meet him, you'll tell him the story. So Rabbi Rotner's Elta Zayda is given a Yitzchak Zi and Nizir b'Shmiras einym. So he was a boy. He was a kid. He was 14, 15 years old. He went to the marketplace to buy, it was in the summer, to buy some melons. There was a stand, and a gekvetched a melon, and it stunk. So he decided he doesn't, whatever, okay, there's no good melon. We're going back home. there was a girl that was selling the melons. She was a Jewish girl, from girl, and she was a clever girl. She said, "Hey, tzadikal, tzadikal." So he turned around. He was startled. She said, "There's a lashon chazal, tzadik bo lebeis maloni v'yipoter belalina." So she said, "Tzadik bo."
Melon stand.
Lebeis Meloina via Potter below Meloina. It said that God says about Yaakov Avinu.
Right.
He came to my house, Lebeis Meloini,
Right.
and he'll not sleep here because Molon means to house, and also Molon means to sleep. But Molon means also a melon. So she said, a tzaddik came to my melon stand, and he'll walk away without a melon.
What did he do?
So,
Right?
and so,
I like that.
and he
He
started
ran
laughing.
away. He probably ran from the stand.
So he laughed.
Of course.
Then he realized he was mistakel on a girl, and he laughed with her. He came back home. He told his father he doesn't know what
left? I thought you said he left.
He laughed.
He laughed.
Look,
He
after looked at the
But he
girl.
didn't buy the melons.
He didn't buy the melon.
What about the melon?
He laughed at
No,
the
it was his. It wasn't a
1
butler.
second.
It wasn't a stock. That's mutter.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can't go on the street.
Well, you hear what the Yismach Moshe said.
You can't park at a traffic light in Manhattan.
So you'll hear what
They're
the
all
Yismach
passing by.
Moshe. You'll hear what the Yismach Moshe said.
I said, don't go by. Get some my melons for you.
He came home. He told his father, "This is the first time in my life I was over. I looked at a girl, but I could be metakin it because the Rambam paskins that if you look at a girl in order to get married, it's mutter. I want to marry the girl." So the father found out.
But she's not so snow herself. She should be in this marketplace
No.
enticing men.
You hear what the story was? The father went and he found out that this is a very poor family and that she's a tzniazdik, a good girl, but Elamai, her mother was sick in the house.
No choice.
But zero yichus. Her father is a tailor,
Rebbe said every Jew has tremendous yichus.
but the father wanted real yichus. That had been told by the Yismach Moshe, and the Yismach Moshe paskin that the son is right.
Wow.
He gave them a bracha that they should, the shidduch should be oile yofer. Rabbi Rotner is a great grandson.
Wow. That's a great story. There's a story where the Kotzker Rebbe, Rebbe was walking with his Talmud from, not Amshana, who was it? Yitzchak Mivorki.
Yeah.
They were both walking. Yitzchak Mivorki was Kotzker Rebbe's. Can you turn this phone off?
Yeah, I'm moving.
Would you turn it off the window? Anyway, so they were passing an apple stand, and Yitzchak Mivorki wanted to buy apples. So the girl said it's 2 kupiks. So Mivorki said a kupik and a half. The Kotzker screamed, "Itzel!" He says, "Don't be Misapa Harbe Maisha. If I have a kupik, you're going to be over on Chazal's Lashon."
Wow.
So he didn't buy the apple. That was what they went back. They said, "Okay, put the money back in his pocket," and that was it.
So Mele.
Rabbi, you know, Rabbi Eliezer Abuchatzera, was killed
Yeah.
about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
He built up from his house a tunnel to go to the shul, not to look at
Not to
it.
look. Right.
Unbelievable.
Just give her the money, buy the apple. Don't.
So Mamela, I think that obviously the Yismach Moshe learned the Rambam the way the Mishnah Berurah is learning the Rambam. The way that Moshe Feinstein learns the Rambam is that if she's a married woman, then there's a shayla no, not a no. But if it's a non-married woman, then mach nishtois ayah no nashta no. But I think the straight way of learning the Rambam is no. That if she's a married woman, I don't care a no, not a no. It's also. If she's an unmarried woman, depends. If you're looking in order to have a noah, it's also the yishmiya. Otherwise, it's mutter the yishmiya. I would say that's the posh pshat. And since
So
we're
you're not allowed to look at a woman, a married woman, you can't look at her face if you're talking to her.
the hobbit, so the
That's
Gemara
not
says
that's not
right.
not
A person that shouldn't be mechaven to the hobbit beyofya. A person shouldn't be mistakel. Okay, look, the Moshe writes in this Tshuva that a person, even if a person adov has to pass in Sheilos, so try not to look at the woman's face.
But you're a human
How much
being.
is it?
You're a human
Okay,
being.
so
You have
are you-
a-
No, you have to
Yeah, they
control
have-
yourself.
How about work?
You have to control
Now,
yourself.
a person work is a different thing. A person at work is a
Does he have
different
to
thing.
work?
A person, right? So it's a different thing. Even that a person has to be nizik. The Gemara says that the people that it's also listakel when the animals are sleeping together, but a person that's his job
Yeah.
is mutter because that's his job. He's not thinking about
Nothing
the
about right.
Aveda. He's just
Right.
thinking about He's
But
thinking
how do you
about
know
doing
that the
his job
girl is
well.
not thinking about you?
And the Gemara says, there's nothing to do with that. The Gemara says that is a chosed shoita is a doctor. The chosed shoita is a doctor who has to take blood from the patient.
Right.
And instead of looking at the patient, he's looking at the other side, and accidentally he stabs the wall.
Right.
So the Gemara says that that's called a chosed shoita.
But why should you go? Person should avoid. Should avoid. Like you're not supposed to go. It says the Malamdim. The Malamdim Tanaka shall base Rabbi. He says that there's whole things in that.
Right. It's a very the
To
emes is,
avoid something that's
Right.
that's hazardous.
you have to the emes is
They
that
made it takon even in some schools.
right. It's and Minig Yisrael Kedoshim. My grandmother used to told me one story maybe a few hundred times. Because I'm named after one. She had 10 siblings that all never killed in the Holocaust. So it was made her a business that everyone asking me, how come your name is not Yochanan? Everybody goes, oh, Yochanan. My grandmother wasn't going to sleep until every one of her brothers has a name. Yendik, doesn't matter. Yichis, every one of her brothers are going to get a name first before she could have a night's rest. So B'meila, I was grandson number 5, 6, 7. I had to be Yochanan, didn't have a name yet, but he was named after his father was Choshev Rachem Astrif Gesridim. They just put out a book on the Rabbi Yochanan Rachem Astrif because there's a whole section on my Elta Zayda there, the Motel of the Dain. So he named the son after his Rebbe. So my grandmother told me the story hundreds of times. He had a father-in-law who was a Yidakvir, and he had a business and selling melons taco or something. He was selling something. He was selling something in the marketplace. So he told his son-in-law, "Beseda, you'll come into the business and you'll sell, and you'll open a stand in the marketplace." So he had a stand, and he was Baruch Hashem, the parnasa was good, and he was there for a few months. And then my Papa says, we remember like yesterday, we got a letter from Yochanan at home. He said, "Father, I'm coming home. It's over." He says there's problem. He says there's shiksis, there's women. I can't stand it anymore. I closed the stand. I don't care about the parnosa. I want you to teach me shchita, and memela I won't have to have any nisyonis.
By the way, you mentioned before about a chazal shait who takes a needle.
Yeah.
I heard that Zelson came to somebody in the Rebbe Boulevard's house and he gave him a needle and he got into the mattress and she cooked.
So that's what the Gemara says.
No, but I can she go cook with the mensch.
Now, the one shaila the Igros Moshe does have against the Mishnah Brura, he doesn't say these words, but this is the way it would look like to be the shaila. If it's true that the problem is hirur, so hirur min ha-Torah is also by any woman. You're not allowed to be maharer the image of a woman. It doesn't matter pnuya eishes ish, and that's min ha-Torah. It's also min ha-Torah. So oy bazoi and loisasur acher lavchem. So oy bazoi, he says, why would it be if you're choshid that if he's going to look at a pnuya or listen to her music and then he'll come lidei hirur? So why should there be a difference between an eishes ish and a pnuya?
Right.
Why? What's the difference? We're scared you're going to come to hirur, and hirur is also min ha-Torah. So what's the difference? That's he doesn't ask this kasha. He asks a similar kasha, but so I want to answer with the Dover Parsha. Turn the page. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Merav, Ma'isa ba'odem echad, shenosen einym b'isha achas. They have a libatina, bo sholu l'roifrim. They ask the doctors what to do. This guy, if he doesn't sleep with this woman, is going to die. Amru loy, ein lo takon ad shetibol. Amru chachamim yomus. Let him die. So the doctor said, you know what, let's recalculate. Tamid l'fonav aruma. Let him, she should stand in front of him aruma. Yomus, let him die. So the doctor said, let's recalculate. She'll talk to him from the other side of the fence. Yomus, let him die. So the Gemara says, she was an Eshes, that's why they said. She was an unmarried woman. So the Gemara says, Michael, what's the big deal? So there's no Issa B'chlal. And so one time, at least you go to the mikveh over there. Amarav, Papa, Mishum Pagam Mishpach. Ikamar, Kadesh Eloi, B'nai Yisrael Prutzas Barois. Chazal made there's a red line. B'nai Yisrael are not Prutzas. There's an inyan of Tznius by Klal Yisrael. Let this man die, and the purity of B'nai Yisrael should stand. So the Gemara asks the question: What's the big deal? Linsa Minsa. I mean, this girl was prepared to sleep with him, right? So let her. So let her marry. She can marry him. What's the big deal? So Gemara answers no. Loy Messiah v'daite. That's not going to calm him down. The Amar of Yitzchak. The Amar of Yitzchak. Miyam shechora besamikdash nitla tam biyah nitla la'oiv raveira. Shenemar mayim genuvim nim toko v'lachem starim yinam. It's only going to heal him if he could do it by Veda. If you do it by Veda, it's not going to heal him.
What's the Veda?
If he could do it as a sin.
Oh.
If he could sleep with her in sin, that would.
My goodness.
If he can't sleep with her in sin, that was his thing. So therefore, so from this Gemara we see that there is a difference. True, Hidur, to think of a Isha, I don't care, Isha or Pnuya. But where is the Yetzer Hara stronger? Where is the Yetzer Hara stronger? By Mayim. So therefore, by Eishes Ish, there is more Chumrah. And Chazal said, you're not allowed to be mistakel, maybe you'll come to the Hidur. I don't care, Golu says, I don't care. If she's a non-Jewish woman or an Eishes Ish, it's also. Or if she is a woman that's over the age of 11 or 12. But if she's a Pnuya, then it depends if you want to have a Noah or not. Because then there's less of a Yetzer Hara. Wow. You have to realize that there is. When we come to Chabad, sometimes we think that the smiras einym is not so important, but it's not true. It's not true. There was a had a Shabbat brachas.
Why would someone think
You don't think that way, but
no,
sometimes.
why
would people think that way? I don't know why. But the truth is, it's not true. The opposite is true. Yeah. We had a Shabbat brachas. My brother got married, and the Zayda from the Kala, Rabbi Herzog, very choshev from Mount Kiskel. He's considered Mount Kiskel, the tzaddik of Mount Kiskel. He came for the Shabbat brachas, and he's what is he going to say over the Dvar Torah? Kultas avodah from the Rebbe Rashab. I'm embarrassed. This guy was not a Lubavitcher Chosid. How are you thinking? Kisko, not yet. The Alter Rebbe's Torah in the middle. The Rebbe Rashab's Kultas avodah. He knew ois beois kema, ois beois, and he was demanding. He was saying l'chaim. He said that the gewalt of the Rebbe Rashab is like this. The Welt sees the smiras einym as a means to an end. Do you want to be pure? Guard your eyes from unholy images.
That's right.
You do that, you're a tzaddik. The Rebbe Rashab says, no, that's the front door. The Rebbe Rashab in Pedek Aleph says, the whole thing of Avos Hashem is that the Yid has to have listakola bikora de malka, to see the beauty of Hashem and to have Ava to the Eibishter. However, in Pedek Beis says the Rebbe Rashab, that's the tachlis of why we live. To have Ava, love with Hashem, and to look at Hashem. But the problem is that sometimes we ruin a ton of beautiful avodas Hashem by not being careful with where we look. So the staklus, I just want to read a few words from the Rebbe Rashab here. Ila Zois, the Rebbe Rashab says, a Yid has to be careful with his eyes. Asher be'emes hari'iyah v'kol sheken istaklus yasiba geremes l'chol dover ra v'hi ha'meviyah l'ra gomur kenoida di'iker ha'tainug hu b'chush hari'iyah v'hasuma ein loy tainug b'shum davar. The Gemara says a blind man doesn't enjoy his food. Because the iker tainug is in the eyes. So there's a new sefer that just came out. I bought it to Yutas Kistel. We had the beautiful Swanim sale. So they have explaining what the Rebbe Rashab is saying. So they said the Rebbe Rashab means to say a person is going to say, I'm going to look and I'm not going to come to do an Aveda. So the Rebbe Rashab is saying, no, it's not true. Don't say that. I don't think that Pirush is right. I think that what the Rogatshov is saying is what the Rebbe Rashab is trying to say. The Rebbe Rashab is trying to say, even if you're not going to come to do any sin, the pleasure of seeing already has an impact. You're ready, like the Reish Lakish says, that the Mare Einayim is Yoisa Megufa Shel Maisa, because the Re'iyah has an unbelievable connection to the person's pleasure. So when a person looks where he shouldn't look and he has pleasure from it, that itself already ruins a ton of Avodas Hashem. We are alive in order to make a relationship of Ava with Hashem Yisborach. To look at the glory of Hashem. then the Yetzer Hara tries to put under our eyes things that will ruin all this beautiful Avos Hashem. That will ruin this beautiful Avos Hashem.
May I ask a question? Kind of tangentially, but I once asked somebody, why did Chabad ever go to Mount Kisco and Bedford and all these New Square, Monroe? Why didn't Chabad make its own town, like the other Hasidim did, to stay away from the pernicious influence of the city? So someone told me that the Friedrich was against it. He wanted that Chabad should make go Eretz Yisrael. But the emes is that you see people think Chabad, but you see that the city is influencing Chabad. And Mount Jacob, people that live out in Mount Kisco, they still look like their Zaydas.
So you see, when the people came to the
But you know what? It's their avodah is an easier avodah. But our avodah, there's young light that are sitting here at the table that
are impervious to it. I understand.
No, that no one is. But Melamaila, the simcha of their avodah is, who am I to say? But this is the way I feel, is unbelievably more than any need that you think in that quiet town, because they're working every day. The Yetzer Hara is working around them over time, but because they're coming and they're learning Shabbos morning the Maimer of the Kuta Torah Or, and they're mistakel bekora the Malka, that gives them the koyach against any Yetzer Hara the entire week, and that's the real dira b'tachtonim, and that's the real dira b'tachtonim.
What about the overwhelming majority of the Dharma coming to this issue?
They should come.
Yeah. The Phoenix came to America, he's debating he's in Lakewood.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Hammer moved to Lakewood, but the Phoenix said he wanted to be in the center.
Right.
That's why you have to
Video wanted to influence the oil.
Have to influence.
So you're saying it was like a mysterious nefesh. You knew that there would be a battle.
Also,
And he wanted the Chassidim should learn all this.
And you knew there would be carbonis.
No, there will be carbonis, but
it's the whole difference in Yoshev Ahalim going.
in every war,
Yaakov is Yoshev.
in every war there are carbonis. But the point is to be
I
victorious.
understand. I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
You've heard this one.
Devil's advocate. We have a problem.
Lamaisa, what happened with Miriam? Before we get to just the din, what happened with Miriam? There's three shittas in the Parsha. Some say it was Vatan, she didn't sing, but that's a very shver because she said she was singing. It says Vatan la Miriam shiru. Other opinion was that's why they brought tambourines to drown out the voice. Other opinions would no. The Befeda she was singing. I found the Chido says that, and I found that Rebbe says this. And in a Shulei Hagilyon, which you know that Rebbe wrote it with his pencil, the Rebbe says that it says it was Miriam Hanaviyah. Rashi says, why is it Miriam Hanaviyah? Because she said in a prophecy when her mother had the baby that this baby is going to redeem the Jewish people. What's bothering Rashi? So the Rebbe says simple. When you want to sing a song, you don't have to be a Navi. So why does the pasuk say Vatikach Miriam Hanaviyah betupim machaylas v'tamla Miriam? So therefore, Rashi answers that she was a Neviah, not now. She was a Neviah originally when she said prophecy there's going to be a redemption. Then the Rebbe brings it to the Meforshim.
Haraya, she had the tambourines already ready to
because Rashi says that the Noshim Tzidkonias, they knew for sure there's going to be a Geula, so they brought the tambourines. The Rebbe says it's mashma that the tambourines they brought was not to drown out their voice, it was kedei to have more simcha. Freksach the Shaila al Pidin, and Ashula Agilyon. Telling you the Rebbe's pencil. Freksach al Pidin, Koil B'Yisha Erva, it's a Gemara and Daf Chav Daled and Brochas. The Rebbe answers. Mordecai answer. The Rebbe says, because Rosh Shivcha Layam, Masheloyero Godel Anavim, that the Shivcha even, every Jew saw Zekei Livan Veyu, so there was no Chashash of a Yetzer Hara. They could look or listen to the women, and there's no Yetzer Hara, there's no Chashash. Sagt the Rebbe, the Gemara says in the end of Sukkah. The Mashiach is going to come, it's going to be the war of Gog and Magog. And Mashiach ben Yosef is going to be killed. And the Eivesha is going to go shech the Yetzer Hara. And everyone is going to mourn Mishpachas, Noshim Levad, Anoshim Venoshim Levad. And the Gemara says, the Chazal said from here, Madoch, when they're busy with a hesped, and there's no Yetzer Hara, the men and women have to sit separately, Kol Shekain, when it comes to the Beis HaMikdash, and therefore by Simchas Beis HaShoeva, they made a separation, a mechitza between the men and the women. So, Why is it that after they kill the Yetzer Hara, the men and women have to be separate? And over there, there's still a chashash, and we're scared from Re'iyah and Shmiyah. And by the Yam Suf Nat, the Rebbe answers Pashut. Because this was a bigger Gilui. Zeh Keli Van Veil. I learned the shul like you, I don't understand. What do you mean? They already killed the Yetzer Hara. No, we still need a mechitza between the men and women. We're choishish for the Re'iyah and Shmiyah. But by Kriyas Yam Suf, no. They could sing songs and we're not choishish. What's the Rebbe saying?
Because when they went through the middle of the Yam Suf, there was two sides, so the women were already...
It was after. They were out.
Yeah, but they had already been separated by the chitzas.
That's your answer. That's what the Rebbe
You know
saying.
how it works
The Rebbe
when
saying they
everybody
were
comes
able
out
to
from
hear.
the-
And Lamai, because it was a Gilei Lekus, Gilei Shchina. But why? The Gilei Shchina is bigger than... So I think the answer is Pashut. I have a lot of answers in my mind, but I think the emes, the Pshat is like this. Do we say, the Al-Chet Shechaton Al-Fanecha B'Yetzer Hara? So all the Meforshim ask, which Chet did you do with a Yetzer Tov? There's a whole bunch of Al-Chet. Which Chet did you do with the Yetzer Tov? After saying so many Al-Chet, we say Al-Chet Shechaton Al-Fanecha, the sin that we did with the Yetzer Tov. With the Yetzer Hara. But which one did you do with the Yetzer? Every Chet is a Yetzer Hara. You're saying Al-Chet Shechaton Al-Fanecha B'Yetzer Hara. So the Meforshim answer, there's two types of Chet. Something is accidental, it happened. A person heard something, saw something, whatever, it happened. A person asks for forgiveness, but it happened. But then there's a person that teases the Yetzer Hara onto himself. He teases the Yetzer Hara onto himself. He listens to things that he shouldn't be listening to. He looks at things he shouldn't be looking at. He brings the Yetzer Hara onto himself. So that's Al-Chet Shechaton B'Yetzer Hara. When Mashiach will come, the Eibush is going to check the Yetzer Hara. Right when Mashiach comes, there's a lot of periods. It doesn't. Eventually, there'll be no tumah in the world. But the first stage, Eibush is going to kill the Yetzer Hara. It doesn't mean there's no Ra in the world. So therefore, we have to have men and women separate, and you have to be careful not to look at them and listen to their singing. But B'Shas, Gilu Shchina and the Yam Suf, when they mamish had Gilu Shchina, there was no chashash whatsoever. So even though the women were singing, the men were listening, and it was not shayach any chash because there was mamish a Gilu Shchina. I think that's the posh of Shad, what they were saying. Yeah.
The story that once that the Kleisenberg Rebbe once went to the kever of Yehuda Bar Eloi, and he davened mincha after shkia. It was a little bit after shkia, and the next day he came back and he davened before Plaga mincha. So they asked him, "Well, what happened?" He said, "Because Rabbi Yehuda himself says that he can't daven mincha after Plaga mincha, and I felt it wasn't respectful. I should daven mincha."
So he did tshuva. He came back and
he davened in the right zman. So maybe the reason why they have to have a chitza by the Yetzer Hara is because it's loy rosh. At the Yetzer Hara's levaya, you're gonna have a chitza.
Who said he had a
Levaya?
levaya?
It's not nice to the Yetzer Hara to do it. Wait until he's buried.
Don't say he's going to have a levaya. He's just going to kill him. He's not going to have a levaya.
Lamaisa. The Mishnah Berurah Paskin. I'm sorry, the Moshe Feinstein Paskin for Rabbi Cheskel Gruber. He said like this: Bisman women start getting a very early age for whatever reasons. Matthias is hormones in the milk and the cheese. Blah, blah. Women are starting to see at a very young age. That's the Maisa. The Maisa. They go home and ask, you'll find out. So he said that from the age of 11, you never know. It could be, so therefore he says it's mutter that the girl should sing for the parents up to the age of 11. Because that's not at a gilus that among them should be girls that already had oirach kanoshim. So therefore they are pnuya. And he says the parents are not coming to hear the singing. They're not coming to have hanoah from Isha singing. The children, boys, girls. They're not coming for an Isha. And it's not normal that a person should have a Hirur Aveda. A normal person does not have any taiva for a Ktan. It's just not a normal thing. It's not a normal thing that a person should have. It's a sick person. A normal person has taivas noshim, unless it's a Meshuggah. But and therefore a person has to be very careful from this. But for Ketanas, it's that they're under the age of Bas Mitzvah. It's not a normal person. So he says there's no chash. No one's going to come with the Hiru. And the parents are not coming to have Hanoah from a Koil Isha. They're coming to hear their kids sing. So the bottom line is that Moshe Paskin, that up to 11, it's not a problem. After that, it's also... However, he finishes off his tshuva, he says, Versteht sich, that if a machmer bedvorim elu kodesh yomraloi, He says, if you could be machmir, gewaldig. That's kodesh yomerlam. But that's the din lamaisa. Similar to that, there's in the tshuva that the Moshe has l'gabe a mechitza. Moshe had an unbelievable chiddush.
What about als chinuch? You have to be mechanech children so that eventually when they become bar mitzvahs, that they're going to do the mitzvahs right. So what about, forget about kedoshim, kodesh yomerlam, just the fact that you have to mechanech these children, they're going to know that when they get older, this isn't possible.
No, they'll understand that only that other parents are allowed to listen to girls because they're under a certain age. Because they're under a certain age. It's mistapa, a kid understands that, little kids. And that's what he paskin, that lamaisa, so therefore I think it's a dover posha to me, that Hebrew school, you're trying to be mekadev kids here. You have to try to, as much as you could. And I heard from Rav Scheinberg in Eretz Yisrael, he said up to 12. Yeah, he said up to 12. There's not a big machloikis between here. I guess he thought that most girls are not...
He was down to emotion.
Yeah, so he said till 12. But after that age, it's take osur, geendigt. It's like osur. There's another kula that I would say, I used to have always a shaila, I take my kids to nursing homes, and we sing with the old people. We do it all the time. There's a place here, that we go to nursing home. And as I have the shaila, because the women start singing. And I think, so... Obviously, l'chayda is saying a din is a din. So I would say like this: most of these women,
with the younger and the older, so it's not just them singing.
First of all, it's a lot of voices I drown out. Second of all, most of these women are pnuyas because their husbands are died or the chulu, so they're pnuyas. After they chod aliyas oirach kanoshin, they probably once went to the beach chodj. After the age of 50, were in the beach once. So in Mela they were toivel, even shalei bekavon, and they were yoytza. So in Mela they're pnuya tohoida. So therefore,
even in the attire for the beach.
Huh?
Even
that. Okay, I'm saying as because the Rebbe and the Moshe Feinstein relied on the school because the din is that a child that's born from a nida is pog. Right. So the Rebbe said for the Baalei Tshuva and the Moshe held that today with Baalei Tshuva you're allowed to marry, and it's not a chash because probably the mother went to the beach. And when she went, even though she went in the bathing suit, it's a miyot shein a makbid, and she was yoytza the tvila. So lagabi this, I would say, in order to be mekadev the alta yidanas and the alta bobbies and the zaydis and the nursing home that nebach to be masameir them, there's no hero here. There's no hero. And there's no one's trying to have a noah here.
Right.
They're just trying to give them a little simcha. So the fact is, if there's one or two that are married, their voices come out not heard because everyone's singing, and most of them are pnuyas started, so therefore it's mutter. Schnell, a second and third child very fast.
Maybe you could record one. I'd love to hear the pirkei of the kingdom of the home.
The Rebbe was very against that a chosn akala should meet, and he wanted that the shidduch time should be very short. Always everyone asks why. The answer is very simple. If the boy is meeting a girl in order to get married, mutter labotke, no problem. Once they're married, even if she's a nida, a person is allowed to have a no by looking at his wife, even if b'shas she's a nida. But b'shas she's a kala, it's also simple, flat out also. And the Rebbe's shita was always that something is osar apitoida, it can never bring you mazel bracha. That's the way it is. Like starting with the mezuzah and everything. If the Shulchan Aruch, if api din, api Torah, this is not permissible. So versteht
it's a 1 time a week come.
Well, so the Rebbe said whatever they need to meet sometimes in order to do.
What?
But that was the general thing.
They go out once a week like on a shidduch day.
That's not mefurish. They say that from the Rebbe, but it's never in any letter. I looked last night and I couldn't find where. But the Rebbe said,
most people also.
So the Rebbe said about the chasana, the time that you have, Kol ha-mekatzer hareza meshubach.
By the way, there was a
Kol ha-mekatzer hareza meshubach.
When there was being Salif Dushin, there was a couple that flew on the same plane with their parents to New York for Yechidus. When the Rebbe heard they flew in the same plane to Chassan, even though their parents were there.
Yeah, the Rebbe was not.
The Rebbe was not Salif Dushin.
Wow. Someone asked this weekend
because about Isser is sleeping they're not allowed to sleep under the same roof. That's
not allowed to see each other.
Right, I'm saying, but even if you have this once a week heter, there's no heter chas to ever stay under the same roof. So when you're flying and they go from day to night, it's like sleeping under the same roof.
Someone asked about this. Is it kishuv? Is it avodah zarah? It's not kishuv, not avodah zarah. Now the Rebbe says the Rebbe says it's also to do. Why? Very simple. Because the Gemara says that the Chazal, when there was a time of tzorah in the world, they used to like sort of break their fingers into each other, and they used to daven and cry. So Reb Abba and Reb Huna. So when there was a tzorah in the world, they used to go like this. They used to sort of like as if they're breaking their finger. A person's never chadaygit, and they used to cry. So when you are doing this, it's as if you're showing that there's a tzorah. That's a chalil. You never do such a thing. Because when a person, the Alter Rebbe said to Tzemach Tzedek right before his Ptira, that when a person smiles lamata, they smile at him lamayla, and therefore he was upset that the Tzemach Tzedek was davening with bitterness.
You can't bang pants with
So therefore, that's the reason. It's not to do with kishuv and has nothing to do with avodah zarah. It's nothing to do with galachim. The reason it's also the Alter Rebbe says it's brought from the Kabbalah.
What about changing the order?
So it depends.
Rosh Hashanah Chaim Berlin. There's always pictures of them always with the third into the third finger.
But you see, the Rebbe used to go like this. But the Rebbe used to go like this, two fingers. With two fingers.
Why is that?
But because then it's not crossing the fingers.
Right, but still.
But because that's not like sort of a person that's breaking his fingers. That's the din. And they bring. I found that there was once a person that sent in a thing to the Rebbe with pictures, and the Rebbe wrote back a note. Here I have it. The Rebbe wrote back a note. He said, "I seen the picture. Ba'foto nikir shemeshaleves hatzbos ba'ofen shekedai levatli." The Rebbe noticed in the picture that the woman was. So the Rebbe said it's kedai to be levatli. Why? Because it's ma'orer dinim on a person. A person, when he wants lamayla, they should act with me b'simcha. He has to show a face of simcha. This shows the opposite of simcha. Kilo, you're now b'tzad. So therefore, you're not supposed to do it.
Artists would take to the Rebbe like this.
Yeah?
And the Rebbe says, well, what? I would do this. And he said, I know for sure, I tell you, and he doesn't start judgment. Airfall.
His name is Nurbini.
Yeah.
Iranian is Persian. And when the Rebbe shows it, I had a picture in my house. When the Rebbe's going like this, he moved his head like this, and the Rebbe said, painting is better than the original.
Maybe shall help me that this week we should talk about Zoichel, Listakora, Bikora, the Malka, and Listakora, Bikora, the Melech HaMashiach.
Amen.